Hey there, long time no video. Lesson 3.8, fraction problems with mixed operations. Please jot that down in the top of your math notebook and go ahead and write down the I can statement. I can solve fraction word problems with mixed operations. Now, before we get into that, I want to just show you some scenarios here. So let's take a look at this. We're going to look at adding, subtracting, comparing, and multiplying. Division is not part of this, okay? But the fraction box over here kind of gives you the setup. I've got 1/3 and 1/6 sitting right here. You can see that how they kind of worked through. And first they did this as a comparison problem, which is greater. And you can look the first one here. They left the original fraction. Second one, they did a converted fraction, so they were looking at the same denominator, or that common denominator that we've been talking about. Okay. Then we have some addition problems, subtraction problems, and multiplication problems. Now, I'm going to walk you through this. And then I'm going to have you pause and practice in your math notebook today on problem number 2. But I'll walk through problem number 1 with you right now. All right. So the first one here, when I set this up, I know that 2/5 is less than 7/10. Now, how do I know that? Well, I could quickly convert it into tenths, or I could just look at it and say 2 is less than half of 5. So that's going to be less than 1/2. 7 is more than half of 10. So it's going to be more than 1/2. And since more than 1/2 is worth more, I know what's going on there. Okay. Or I could convert them. And I could say, okay, 2/5 and 4/10, same thing. I multiply the numerator and denominator by 2. And 4/10 is less than 7/10. Now let's take a look at this as an addition problem. Okay. 2/5 plus 7/10 equals, remember I have to convert it now. I have to make that common denominator. 4/10 plus 7/10, which equals 11/10. Oh, wait, I've got a fraction greater than 1, or an improper fraction here. I've got to flip that. That becomes 1 and 1/10. Now, let's look at the next one. Now, you're going to see something interesting here when I go to subtraction. What do you notice? Do you see that I started with 7/10, even though that wasn't the first number in this box? Why did I do that? Well, I did that because when I look at these fractions together, I know that the big number has to come first in a subtraction problem. And since 2/5 equals 4/10, it can't come first because that's smaller than 7/10. So now I'm going to do 7/10 first minus 2/5, which is the same as 7/10 minus 4/10, which equals 3/10. The last one, multiplication, which we've been doing a lot of, we can just leave the fractions the way they are. All right, it looks like I flipped them, but it wouldn't really matter. Remember, it doesn't matter what order we put a multiplication problem in. I just simply multiply. Oh, but wait. I can reduce, and I can save myself some time because 2 and 10 share the common factor of 2. So I can divide them both by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now I can multiply, and that gives me 7/25. Now, you could have gone through and you could have gotten 14/50 and split that in half, but this is a little bit easier. Okay, so since you've got this here, what I'm going to ask you to do is pause the video and try this problem number 2. Pause it and just look at exactly what I did. Take as much time looking this over if you need to back up and hear it again. And then I'm going to go on with this right now to show you what the solutions are. So go ahead and pause it, solve it, and then come back and check to see how you did. Okay, so when I look at this, I've got 3/5 is greater than 4/7. Now, to be honest, it might be hard for you to take a look at it and know that. This might be one of those ones where you'd have to do the second part first, where you have to figure out what the common denominator is, in this case 35, in order for you to figure out which one was bigger. And then come back in and fill this out. So 21/35 is greater than 20/35. Remember, I got this by multiplying numerator and denominator on this fraction by 5 and numerator and denominator on this fraction by 7. Okay, so let's look at an addition problem. 3/5 plus 4/7 is the same as 21/35 plus 20/35. If I add that together, I get 41/35. Well, now what? Well, when I look at that, I can see that that's an improper fraction, or a fraction greater than 1. So I'm going to have to convert it, and after I do that, I get 1 and 6/35. Since 6 and 35 do not share any common factors, I can't go any further with that, and I'm done. All right, let's take a look at the subtraction one. So 3/5 minus 4/7. Again, I know because I did this conversion up here first that 3/5 equals 21/35, so it would be the bigger one. When I put those converted fractions in there, I end up with a total of 1/35. Okay? Next one, multiplication. 3/5 times 4/7 equals. Okay, well, neither of these are factors of the other number, so I just got to go. That's going to give me 12/35. I'm done. I can't simplify. Now, this next slide that we're going to look at is just a quick review because we're going to be doing word problems with mixed operations, addition, subtraction, and multiplication. No division, addition, subtraction, multiplication. So just quickly, I'm going to review these with you. Okay, you can see those are some of the addition words, subtraction words, multiplication words, and division words that you looked at in the last lesson that we went through. Okay, so just kind of have those in your mind as we go through and look at these word problems and see what you can figure out as we start to figure out what to do with the numbers here. Okay, so here is one of the word problems that we have with mixed operations. Okay, so we're going to write an equation and then we're going to solve. Think algebraic equation. Remember, I'm going to put that letter in place of the missing number. Okay, so here it is. It says, yesterday Kira made 3 2/3 quarts of strawberry jam and 2 1/6 quarts of raspberry jam. How much more strawberry jam did she make than raspberry jam? Okay, so when I look at that, here are my key words. How much more? When I see that, I know that's going to be a subtraction problem because I'm going to take one away from the other to figure out how much bigger one number is than the next. Okay, so when I came up with my algebraic equation, I've got 3 2/3 minus 2 1/6 equals j. I use that for jam. You could use any letter. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so the first thing I notice when I go to stack this up is that I don't have equivalent fractions, so I can't really subtract this until I do it. I've got to make thirds into sixths. Okay, so to do that, I multiply by 2, and that gives me 3 4/6, and now I can subtract 2 1/6 from below it. If I subtract here, 4/6 minus 1/6 is 3/6. I get 1 whole, but I'm not done because 3/6 have an equivalent fraction. They both share 3 as a common factor. After I reduce that down all the way or simplify it, it's 1 1/2. All right, so I've got 1 1/2 quarts. That's how much more strawberry jam than she made than raspberry jam. Now, it's your turn. So you're going to write an equation, then solve. It says, on Sunday, Natalie made 4 1/8 quarts of blackberry jam and 2 3/4 quarts of blueberry jam. She will mix the two kinds of jam together. How much of this mixed jam will she have? Now, notice the key word here, and there it is, together. So see if you can work that through and figure it out, and we will go over it in class. See you soon.